Gabrielle Union is not actually Zaya's mother. Stepmother, yes, but not her actual mother. And her biological mother is now standing up. Her name is Siobhan Wade.
Child, we got some family drama going on right now, child, at the Wades. So Dwayne Wade's ex-wife accuses him of exploiting and pressuring their daughter Zaya to change her gender.
The issue of transitioning minors is one of the most pressing cultural battles of our time. While some celebrate the ability of children to redefine themselves, others see it as an irreversible decision made at an age when kids cannot possibly grasp the long-term consequences. The case of Dwayne Wade's son, Zion, now known as Zaya, has put a national spotlight on this debate, with many arguing that allowing a child to undergo medical transition is not only irresponsible, but amounts to child abuse. At just 12 years old, Zaya publicly identified as transgender. Instead of allowing time for self-discovery, the adults in Zaya's life took immediate steps to affirm this identity, setting in motion a medical and social transition that will last a lifetime. The reality is that no 12-year-old can truly comprehend what it means to make permanent changes to their body. At that age, children are still figuring out who they are, navigating phases, and developing their sense of self. Many who grew up as tomboys or had interests traditionally associated with the opposite gender later embraced their biological sex fully. Yet, in today's climate, those same kids are often encouraged to transition rather than simply be allowed to grow naturally. One of the most heartbreaking aspects of this situation is the exclusion of Zaya's biological mother, Siobhan Funches, from the decision-making process. She fought in court to stop the transition, arguing that a child that young should not be making such a life-altering decision. But her voice was drowned out, with celebrity status and cultural momentum overwhelming the parental rights of a mother who simply wanted to protect her child. In today's society, a minor cannot get a tattoo, drink alcohol, or sign a legal contract, but they can undergo hormone therapy and even irreversible surgeries before reaching adulthood. The argument that children know they are transgender at an early age ignores the fact that many young people go through phases, experiment with different identities, and eventually settle into who they are as they mature. Numerous detransitioners, people who transitioned and later regretted it, have spoken out about how they were pushed down this path before they fully understood themselves. Yet their voices are often dismissed or ignored. The science surrounding gender dysphoria in children is still being debated, but one fact remains clear: nearly 98% of children who experience gender confusion resolve their feelings naturally by adulthood if left alone. The introduction of puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones, however, locks children into a path that often leads to surgeries, infertility, and lifelong medical dependence. Many people fail to grasp the extent of these consequences. A child on hormone blockers will never go through natural puberty, meaning their body will not develop in the way it was biologically intended. This can lead to severe medical complications down the road, including osteoporosis, cardiovascular issues, and even brain development concerns. Zaya's case has been widely promoted in the media, with 17 magazine featuring the now 17-year-old as an inspirational figure for transgender youth. Yet this raises a troubling question. Is Zaya truly living as an independent individual, or is this identity being used for social and financial gain? Hollywood has increasingly showcased transgender children, often elevating their parents as progressive pioneers. Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union have received awards and praise for their advocacy, further incentivizing the public display of their child's transition. But at what cost? The push to transition minors is not only a cultural movement, but also a profitable industry. Clinics that provide puberty blockers and gender-affirming surgeries are making millions, capitalizing on a generation of confused young people and their well-meaning but often misled parents. Some argue that this is reminiscent of past medical scandals, where societal trends dictated harmful medical interventions later recognized as grievous mistakes. What happens when the children of today grow up and realize they were misled? The lawsuits have already begun, with detransitioners suing the medical professionals who encouraged their transitions. Yet, despite these warning signs, the machine continues, pushing more and more young people down this irreversible path. The broader issue at play is how society treats childhood itself. Childhood is supposed to be a time of exploration and learning, not of making permanent, life-altering decisions. When an adult decides to transition, they do so with a fully developed brain and a lifetime of experiences behind them. A child, on the other hand, is highly impressionable and susceptible to influence. If we do not allow children to drive, vote, or get married, why are we allowing them to make medical decisions with consequences that will follow them for the rest of their lives? Beyond the medical implications, there is a psychological burden placed on these children. Zaya, for example, has been made into the face of the trans youth movement, carrying the weight of an entire political and social agenda at an age when the only concern should be navigating adolescence. The media and activists have positioned these young individuals as warriors for a cause, but the reality is that they are being used as pawns in a much larger ideological battle. For a young person, this can create immense pressure, making it nearly impossible to ever step back and reassess whether transitioning was the right decision in the first place. Perhaps the most tragic aspect of all is that the adults who should be protecting these children are the very ones leading them down this path. Whether it is misguided activism, financial incentives, or the need for social validation, the adults in charge are failing to do their job. A responsible parent should provide guidance, ensuring that their child is making informed choices based on long-term well-being rather than momentary feelings. In Zaya's case, there was no room for exploration, only affirmation, no space to question, no allowance for time to pass and perspectives to change. This issue is not about denying anyone's right to live how they choose as an adult. It is about ensuring that children are not rushed into decisions they may later regret. The fight to protect children from irreversible medical transitions is not about hate or bigotry. It is about safeguarding the innocence and well-being of young people who are still in the process of growing up. The battle is far from over, and it is up to society to take a stand before more children are led down a path they may never be able to undo.